Hello, good evening and welcome to Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice Adu. The news is also live on Kazmi 107.1 FM and across the world at 3news.com. On Facebook, you're streaming live on 3FM 927. Coming up in the next 1.5 hours. Minority caucus condemns special prosecutor's description of former finance minister as a fugitive from justice. Meanwhile, the group is accusing national security apparatus of targeting NPP officials following the invitation of the chief whip Frank Anodompre. We'll bring you all the drama that transpired in the course of the day. Also coming up tonight, the Majority Leader Mahama Yariga apologizes to former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta following Monday's raid of his residence by security operatives. Much later on the program, Interior Minister inaugurates committee to review recruitment into the country's security services. Plus, Acting Director of National Service Authority calls on auditing firms to help review the current system following the discovery of over 80,000 ghost names on the payroll. All of these stories, plus business and sports, all coming up in the next 90 minutes. Do stay with us. For now, though, Safa Abuahene is here with a summary of the news. Safa, what do you have?
Thank you, Beatrice, and welcome to the news summary segment. Let's move on to the details now. Interior Minister Muntaka Mohamed Mubarak has inaugurated a 7-member committee to review recruitment processes into Ghana's security services. The committee aims to create a fair, transparent, and merit-based system addressing long-standing concerns about political favoritism in enlistments. Also, the New Patriotic Party, NPP, has criticized the special prosecutor for labeling former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta a fugitive, urging him to avoid sensationalism. The party insists that Ofori-Atta has always cooperated with authorities and rejects any form of political harassment. On the same related development, the minority in Parliament has accused state security agencies of intimidating its members, citing the raid on Ken Ofori-Atta's residence and the interrogation of Minority Chief Whip Frank Anodompre. They are demanding an independent investigation into these incidents. And also we have an Accra High Court has discharged former GFA President Kwesi Nyantechi and Abdullahi Al-Hassan after investigative journalist Anas Arimiyao Anas and 4 other witnesses failed to testify. The ruling ends a high-profile case triggered by Anas's 2018 expose on corruption in Ghanaian football. Now to our last story, the National Labour Commission has suspended hearings of over 100 cases due to the absence of government appointees following the NPP's electoral loss, leaving disputes unresolved. And this brings us to the end of the news summary segment. And over to you, Beatrice.
Thank you very much, Safa Abuahene, for bringing us the latest in summaries. Let's bring you the details of our stories now. And the minority in Parliament has condemned the special prosecutor's description of former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta as a fugitive. According to the caucus, the government is using the security apparatus to prosecute past appointees in the Eswell NPP administration, a dangerous path they intend to resist. Deputy Minority Leader Patricia Adu condemned that the government actually demanded that the government ceases further harassment of former appointees and uphold the rule of law.
The reckless abuse of power executed under full military backing signal a disturbing shift towards authoritarian governance, where brute force is now replacing the process and replacing due process, and political witch hunts are being disguised as security operations. It is nothing short of a state-orchestrated assault on individual freedoms and an alarming escalation in the abuse of powers. Similarly, On Monday, 3rd February 2025, the residence of Lord Comey, former Director of Operations at the Jubilee House, was raided with his vehicle unlawfully seized. Former Minister of Defense, Honorable Dominic Nitiwo, was also targeted as security operatives chased him down and forcibly took possession of his vehicle while it was at a workshop. For such incidents to occur under a government that once vehemently condemned the use of military force in political matters or for political ends is not only the height of hypocrisy, but also a shameful betrayal of democratic principles. The very leaders who cried foul over what they claim to be military intimidation while in opposition are now wielding state power in an even more reckless and tyrannical manner. This is not governance. It is a hostile takeover.
And you heard the Deputy Minority Leader Patrice Adu. Well, the Majority Leader Mahama Yariga has also apologized to former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta following the raid of his private residence by men in military uniform on Monday, February 11. Minority MPs on Wednesday raised the issue on the floor, urging the Speaker to cause a probe. But the Majority Leader said that he had not received briefing about the incident and requested more time to inquire into it. In Parliament today, Mahama Yariga confirmed that there was indeed an operation at Mr. Ofori-Atta's residence. He also confirmed the involvement of Richard Jakpa in the said operation and apologized to the former minister. He also assured that the necessary steps have been taken to ensure such happenings do not recur.
In making this statement today, let me indicate that as a country and as a parliament, we have a constitution to uphold. That constitution has embedded in it fundamental human rights, including the right to one's privacy, the right to the integrity of one's property, and His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama remains committed to ensure that the rights and liberties of every individual is respected or are respected. So, Speaker, secondly, I make this statement on the basis of the commitment of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama to reset this country, which means that everybody must act in compliance with the law and the mandate of institutions. And so I have called the relevant stakeholders in the matter to find out exactly what happened. So, Speaker, it is true that the private residence of the former Minister of Finance was entered into by operatives of the military and the police led by somebody who we believe works at the National Security Coordinator's Office. Mr. Speaker, his name is Mr. Jakpa. Mr. Speaker, we have investigated the matter, and we want to say and assure our fellow countrymen and our colleagues in this House that we have received assurances from the Office of the National Security Coordinator that it was not intended that that should happen, and that occurrence is most regrettable and unfortunate, and he wants to give this House his word and assurance that a thing like that should never happen again. Mr. Speaker, I have also spoken with the Minister of Interior, who has spoken with his IGP, and I've spoken with the Minister of Defense, and all of them give their assurance to this House that a thing like that will not happen again. And so, Mr. Speaker, let me indicate to my colleagues on the other side that this side of the House remain committed to ensuring that this country is reset, that its institutions function properly, that its officials act in accordance with the law, and that the rights and liberties of every citizen are upheld and protected under the regime of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama.
And you just heard right there the majority leader, Mahama Ayariga. Adam Senano is co-chair Citizens Movement Against Corruption. He joins us live now via video call. Good evening to you, sir. If you can hear us, thank you for joining us. Hello, Mr. Senano, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Excellent. I can. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure you've been monitoring what's happening. First off, with a press conference by the Special Prosecutor, Kisia Jabin, declaring the former Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, as a fugitive. And the minority in Parliament now, even the government, the opposition MPP, together organizing press conferences and condemning that word of a fugitive used by the Special Prosecutor against the former Finance Minister. Let me first get your thoughts on these two occasions.
Well, it's very difficult for me to understand where the minority is coming from. I think it's important to put into context that the first response from our former Finance Minister was that he's indefinitely unavailable. And I think that any law-abiding citizen who responds to a security agency in that manner is exposing himself or herself to trouble. I mean, how many citizens would dare respond to a security agency and say, I am indefinitely unavailable? I think that's where the problem started. And then beyond that, he submits a medical letter or report that has no timelines to indicate when he will be available, and eventually talks about the OSP having potentially raided his home. I think that they should take into context the amount of time, the correspondence. I don't think that the OSP acted out of character or out of, a proper context. I think there's a legitimate reason why he's arrived at that conclusion. So I don't think that people should begin to just suggest that he is somebody who just wants to go over after people. I don't think so.
You don't think so? And yesterday there was also a letter circulating from his doctor from the clinic indicating that indeed he was on medical, or he was under medical scrutiny. I'll just read that to you. He said, to whom it may concern, hello dear sir or madam, Mr. Kenneth Nanayao Ofori-Atta has been seen and evaluated at Mayo Clinic in Rochester. His medical condition necessitates that he will stay and follow up on the appointment and undergoing further testing and management, including possible surgical intervention in March of 2025. Please contact me for any further questions. You don't think that this letter coming from the doctor, as it were, provides any sort of assurances that he is indeed not a fugitive and not running away from the justice system?
No, I think that what they should have sought to do was to say that over this period there's testing, over this period there might be potential surgery or whatever, and after that, so if it's over the next 3 months, so that there is some understanding of when he'll be available to do the fiscal engagement. Issues of where there are cases that have been raised against you, you cannot just make it open-ended. So that letter ought to have properly, and if it were me, I would then on the back of that, I said, since they have said in March I'll do this, I expect that by the end of April I'll be available. I think that lack of apparent willingness voluntarily to submit to an engagement that would then provide the OSP with additional information is what is raising these issues. And yes, if the lawyers responded and say, look, because of A, B, and C, within the time frame, we think that it will take 3 months, I am sure that the OSP would have responded to that. But to have the situation where the next thing is that they were accusing the OSP of having raided their home, when obviously it was not the OSP, that certainly, I in my mind, triggered a different kind of reaction. I don't think that the OSP is just being insensitive. I think that looking at the correspondence, he was just trying to make sure that somebody who ought to come and engage so they have clarity on these cases makes himself available. And all of us as law-abiding citizens ought to be making sure that in such circumstances, we make ourselves available.
You don't see anything wrong with what the special prosecutor did in terms of coming out to tell us what the situation was, but the minority in parliament has an issue with it. I played the sound of Beatrice Adu saying that the minority disagreed with the use of fugitive to describe the former finance minister, and also felt that the government is using state institutions as weapons of witch hunt against a political opponent. How do you react to that?
Well, I am saying that within the context of what had transpired, the word fugitive is to suggest that this is somebody who we are looking for, who is unwilling to provide himself.
So there's nothing wrong with it. It's in the right context.
I think that within the context, I don't think there was a problem with that. I think what it is that immediately the lawyers plus the individual ought to respond and say, no, please, within 2 months, within 3 months, we'll be available. Rather than the apparent distraction to say, you talked about a staged thing, let's deal with the facts of the issue, because there are cases to be answered. So let those who must respond to this indicate that, look, we are willing, we are anticipating or projecting that by April we'll be available, we'll answer. Let's have a very, affirmative response to this, rather than us dealing with the issues that are, as far as I'm concerned, are the trivial issues. Let's deal with the substantive issues and make progress.
Having made that point as well, yesterday, immediately after the press conference by the special prosecutor, we had an interaction with the former director of the Ghana School of Law, Ansan Sari, who actually said that the special prosecutor should be sacked and prosecuted, and that he's incompetent as well. Another argument he made was why he waited all this while and didn't seem to have even done well with the Cecilia Dapa case. How do you react to that comment as well?
I don't see the justification for that conclusion. The Cecilia Dapa case, all of us who have been in the space are seized with the facts. The law that is able to deal with this issue comes under Yoko. And so it was a legitimate transfer of the case to Yoko. Yoko didn't progress with it. That's an unfortunate situation. I don't see how that connects with this case where there's former minister come, and I think that should be the way things go. They should have been stopped at the airport. I think if you begin to violate people's rights that way, you create a lot of chaos. Let us all be willing to submit ourselves to the processes of law when issues come up and we have to answer, especially if you've been a public officer. What you commit yourself to do is to be available to deal with any issues because you have been put in a position of trust. And so when it comes for accountability counts, you should be willing to do that. I think that this case is no less different. Look, if any other citizen that had not been a minister had been invited by the OSP, and we had this kind of response that indefinitely I'm not available and so on and so forth, trust me, the reactions would have been different. So let's just make sure we deal with the substantive issues. There are cases to be answered. If the minister is not available today, but he's available after March, he should say so and allow the OSP to be able to engage him. And the OSP can, in that instance, if he has to retract what he said. But given the context, I don't think that word was used out of context or out of malice or out of an intention to just cause trouble.
Let's deal with the substantive issue. That is the focus that you think we should have. How do you think this whole thing deepens the fight against corruption?
Well, it's good to know that institutions of state are still at work. So the OSP is doing its work. is saying that we've discovered there are issues to be answered. We want you to come and give your information, and based on that, we'll know what next to do. The person involved is responding. Lawyers are dealing with it. They should focus on the substantive issues and indicate when their client will be available because the people of Ghana are interested. I think this contributes to moving forward the cause of anti-corruption, and let's see how they progress with it.
Let's see how. Let me ask you my last question before you go, Mr. Senano, because yesterday the Attorney General also held a press conference explaining why he's been dropping certain cases, and he gave 3 major reasons why he's done that since he took over office. But again, during the question and answer time, he mentioned that he was going to have an interaction with the special prosecutor because of the press conference he had in the morning of yesterday as regards the cases that he's looking at so far. People are expressing misgivings about it because, I mean, per the legal provisions establishing the special prosecutor, he's supposed to be independent. And I'll just read a bit of that to you. It says, except as otherwise provided in the Constitution, the office is not subject to the direction or control of a person or an authority in the performance of the functions of the office. Do you think that this suggestion thrown out there by the AG perhaps suggests that he wants to have a bit of control over the special prosecutor and what that could mean for us?
No, I think it would be far-fetched to assume that a single engagement of the AG with the OSP is an indication that the AG is about to influence the special prosecutor. I think that's far-fetched. By the way, I mean, who says they are not having phone discussions already? I think that it is rather in our interest where there's a public engagement that we know what came out of that engagement and what have you. If there's any influence, we are bound to see that over time. As it is already, the claims that it was the OSP that went to the former finance minister's house has been shown to be untrue. So let's stop finding speculative narratives and promoting them. I think that it is all right when the institutions of state talk to each other and collaborate over issues that are substantive, and to the extent that they respect the rights of citizens and make sure that the right thing is done. I'm sure that posterity will indicate that, look, these things were done in full honesty and transparency in order to promote the best interests of the nation.
Mr. Senano, thank you so much for speaking to us.
And thank you for having me.
And you heard that Adam Senano, his co-chair Citizens Movement Against Corruption, some 23 minutes past the hour of 5, and the Interior Minister Muntaka Mohamed Mubarak has tasked a newly inaugurated committee to review recruitment into the country's security services and develop a roadmap to ensure a fair, transparent and merit-based process. Concerns over recruitment irregularities into Ghana's security agencies have persisted for years, but now a 7-member committee has been set up to tackle these challenges head-on. At the committee's inauguration, Interior Minister Muntaka Mohamed Mubarak underscored the need for a structured approach to recruitment, particularly in dealing with the contentious issue of enlisting party supporters into the security services.
There's a lot of concern that this recruitment that really happened in 2024 was in a rush. It wasn't done properly. But you see, you just don't go taking what people say on the streets on the surface value. You need to get facts and you have to get information. And then we are in a country that we need to face reality. Yeah, I mean, people form party, the party form government, and they expect certain things like when you are doing recruitment, what should happen? We should let it bear open. Are we going to find a neat way of marrying merit, party, and the general public? Should we stick strictly to merit and the general public, and then playing ostriches that political parties do not matter? What do we do? You put up these 7-member professionals to use 2 weeks to go through those in training, give us recommendation, tell us what to do, even in terms of policy direction. What is it new that we can do to forestall all these kind of suspicion anytime recruitments are going on?
And you heard the Interior Minister Muntaka Mohamed Mubarak. We're joined on the line now by Richard Kumado. He's a security consultant. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Beatrice.
Would you consider this as a step towards dealing with the so-called political or unqualified appointment into the security services?
Not really. I think he didn't want to go the way of the usual politicking by sacking people. He needed grounds to as to what will be the outcome of this particular committee's work, so that he can use that as a benchmark. What I realized that the recruitment has become a mess, and is raising a lot of public concern, considering what the leaders of the NDC said in the past concerning this particular recruitment, particularly the 2024 one. They are treading cautiously. But having said that, any approach and any method of recruiting people into the security agencies with the intended purposes of achieving results in line with best practice and where productivity and appropriate qualifications and suitability will be prioritized is something that will be laudable and people will welcome it, rather than the usual NDC MPP politicking where a lot of people have been thrown into the security agencies that today is creating problems for everybody.
So your answer was not really. What did you expect him to do as a step towards dealing with the kind of recruitment we have into our security services?
Why has the recruitment into our security services become a problem? And is he doing it for both the institutions under him and that of the military, or is doing it for just the institutions under him? The military has also been a mess, and it has been bastardized with politicians. And you hear at the version when the Minister of Defense was being cautioned that the fact that I agree you doesn't mean that when it comes to recruitment, you are not going to favor me. But this is the Minister of Interior. If we are doing it as a whole, then we will say we are with the purpose of cleaning it once and for all. Other than that, the military has to take their own steps in cleaning up the military recruitment as well. But Beatrice, is it not so surprising that recruiting people into the security agencies has become so complex that we will need a committee to tell us what to do? Recruitment is recruitment. Everywhere people get recruited, there's a procedure and there's a process to follow. I believe when you were coming to Media General, you went through a procedure. If government thinks that they lack that procedure, their HR standardizations and their recruitment processes available on the shelf within this country that they could have used. But it's all about politics. And I think he took a smart move that he doesn't want to be seen as somebody going out there and sacking people, knowing that that has become the pattern of NDC and MPP, sacking people who are even at training. They were sacked. When MPP came to power, some people were sacked. Years back, NDC came, it was the same thing. So he wants to play smart, and I could give him that. And I say, yeah, well done. Let's wait and see what will be the outcome and what the outcome will be used for. Whether that will be productive and whether that will help us do it appropriately, benchmarking best practices as it is in other parts of the world is another matter. When you go to other countries where we borrow this democracy from, can't we see the way it is being done? And don't you know how it can be done properly? I think sometimes we whine, and go around the circle and come back to square one. And that has been the unproductive nature of politics across many parts of Africa.
So what I hear you say is that we know that we need to put transparent processes in place and stop beating about the bush by setting up committee and
Definitely,
all of these things.
You said it far better than me. I was afraid to say it that way because they may come for my head. But you said it far better. Thank you. God bless you.
Now, moving forward, though, what are your expectations of the committee that has been set up to kind of deal with this problem halfway, we could say?
When you take the police, for instance, you have political police, you have protocol police, and you have professional police. The issue about law enforcement is that it takes you about 3 to 5 years to catch it up, the tradecraft, because it's a specialized area, particularly those who are in the front line. And the danger is that when you put in people who have no business being there, what happens is that when they work for 5 years or 10 years, thinking that the state is about to benefit from them, you do not get it. You don't get productivity, you don't get professionalism, and conduct becomes a problem. If we continue bastardizing it, you are going to have a problem. Has there been any area where the police will specifically recruit people of some skilled expertise to deal with specific areas of law enforcement? Those are the things I want to look at. Because if you listen to Muntaka and its last stage, what the point he was making is that whether political parties do not matter and whether some other things do not matter, at what point has political parties begin to matter more than standardization? And that is the whole issue that I have with this thing. When I was joining the BNI, it wasn't NDC, it wasn't NPP. We were about 4,000 plus who started. After 3 years of background checks, they picked only 4 of us. And the standard procedures were followed. Even if some were waived, we knew that this is the way it's going to be. But man's whole thing, now I think we have a long way to go. And the header for this committee is to be a little bit sober and say it the way it is. And if they say it the way it is and present the report, that is one. What the minister or those who matter deals with the report is another thing.
Is another thing. You say, when did here? Thank you very much, Mr. Kumado, for speaking to us. And you had Richard Kumado, he's a security consultant, bringing us his thoughts on the setting up of a committee by the Interior Minister to look into recruitment into security services. Now, the National Labour Commission has suspended the hearing of all cases. This is because the 2 government appointees on the commission have vacated their posts after the NPP lost power. This has left over 100 cases unattended to. Executive Secretary of the Commission, Ofosu Asamoah, spoke with our Labour Affairs correspondent Daniel Opoku. Take a listen.
And that with the change in government, the 2 representatives nominated by the previous government have ceased to hold office, and therefore the commission is now not properly constituted because we don't have a government representation. In the circumstances, the commission has not been able to sit since January. We have accordingly written to the minister. We have written to the chief of staff for the government to nominate 2 persons to join the 5 members already there so that the commission will be properly constituted to sit. So that is what we are waiting for now.
Is it fair to say that therefore the commission has suspended sitting, so members should not be coming to the NLC?
No, people can be coming to the commission, yes, NLC, because it is not all issues that are resolved by the panel of the commissioners. We have the Industrial Relations Department who does facilitation. We facilitate the resolution of disputes. So that is ongoing. It is only the cases that are to go before the commission which has been suspended because it is not properly constituted. So we are waiting for the 2 nominees from government to fill the space, and then the commission will be properly constituted to sit as a panel and arbitrate on the cases.
But how has that impacted on the work? We are told in excess of 200 cases are still pending.
Yes, we receive an average of 80 to 120 cases in a month. But certainly it is not all these cases that goes before the commission. We try to assist the parties by facilitating settlement. It is only where settlement fails at the facilitation level when it is referred to the commission. So as it stands now, where cases fail at the facilitation level and it has to be referred to the commission is not properly constituted to sit on those cases because we lack the government representation. On the other side, these previous commissioners were part of the panel that was sitting on cases. So there are cases that are part head, which has not been concluded. But because these members have left and new ones are coming, cases that are part head may have to start de novo. That is to start again because whoever members that are being nominated now were not part of what has been said already and therefore cannot give a clear opinion and a decision on the cases. So most of the cases that they were part and could not conclude but are parted may have to start again unless the parties decided that they will adapt the proceedings and go on. But mostly parties will want to start again because they want the panel sitting on it to have a clear view of the facts before them so that they can give decision and give it right.
And you heard there the Executive Secretary of the Commission, the National Labour Commission, Ofosu Asamoah, in that interview with our Labour Affairs correspondent Daniel Opoku. Let's speak to Labour consultant Austin Game on this development. He joins us live on the phone. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, my sister.
First of all, let me find out from you whether you think it was the best decision for the NLC to suspend cases because we had 2 appointees who were not available.
Thank you once again. Well, some of the cases, when they are billed to be heard by the commission, they have no choice than to have it stayed until the commission is properly composed. But what they can do is to get most of the cases to mediation, and where the parties agree to have, come under 157 voluntary arbitration, which is essential arbitration, except that where certain essential services opt to go to the commission itself, and that becomes great concern, and they will have to wait for the commission itself to be composed to enable them to hear it.
Having said that, we heard the executive secretary there saying that because of the absence of these 2 individuals, they have had to suspend cases, which is what we've just spoken about. But what do you see as the wider implications as regard to what's going on?
Well, if the executive secretary and administrators are mindful of what the commission is set up to do, they can easily facilitate most of the cases for mediation, especially, and or facilitated negotiation, or their own industrial relations people to facilitate the process. And where necessary, I'm sure the chief of staff and his team will quickly organize and have people nominated to be on the commission as quickly as possible, because the commission is a very vital organ for labor, conflict resolution in the country. And so I think it's important that they speed up and ensure that we have people nominated to go and join the rest of the commission to make it complete.
Mr. Game, thank you so much for speaking to us.
You're most welcome.
And you just heard right there, Austin Game, he's a labor consultant now. About 300,000 persons from age 1 and above have been earmarked by the Ghana Health Service for a cholera vaccination exercise within the Greater Accra region from tomorrow, Friday the 14th of February, to Monday the 17th of the same month. The exercise, which will take place in the 3 sub-metros of the region, Ablekuma South, Okakwe South, and Ashedu Keteke, seeks to complement efforts to control and contain the cholera outbreak in the country. A report by Sarah Apenko.
Since the outbreak of cholera in Ghana, more than 6,000 suspected cases have been recorded, with over 500 confirmed. Out of the figure of confirmed cases, the Greater Accra has recorded the highest number with over 200 of the cases. The Efutu and Agona West districts in the central region remain the disease hotspots. The Greater Accra region is the latest to hold the exercise, following a successful campaign in both the western and central regions. Program Manager for the expanded program on immunization, Dr. Kwame Amponsa-Chianu, noted the efficacy of the vaccine and its relevance to the control measures against the disease.
If you look at what has happened in, say, Kaswa, the Ewutu Senya East Municipal, and Takrade, Western region in particular, you can tell that the vaccines really work. Because you remember we had issues when we had a lot of cases in Assam, that's Ewutu Senya. We tried to do the vaccination. We were successful, and within 1 week of starting the vaccination, we saw a quantum dip in the cases, and so we know the vaccines work. Some will completely not get any infection of cholera, but you will still get people who may. But when you have a lot of people, in epidemiology, in epidemics, we have a lot of people protected. The rest who are unprotected are even protected. First of all, we have about 500 confirmed cases nationally, and this is historical data. right from the time we started in August. I would say Greater Accra is contributing about 200. But essentially, we have more than 6,000 suspected cases.
He further charged the media to tackle the issue from the root cause and assist in educating the people about cleanliness.
I would rather challenge the media to rather look at the root cause, because open defecation is a big problem. Health will always be at the receiving end. Incidentally, cholera also thrives in filth. In fact, cholera is a disease of filth. It's actually feces. It's water. It's about sanitation. We don't have the mandate to do that. So we will only try to do the education, but the responsibility of the others. We work with them all right, but I think that we should do a bit more in terms of the law enforcement.
All guardians are encouraged to ensure their children participate in this essential vaccination efforts to help curb the ongoing cholera risk in the region.
You heard Sarah Pinkro's report on the cholera situation. Now, Acting Director of the National Service Authority, Felix Gyamfi, has called on auditing firms to help review the current system in use by the authority, following the discovery of over 80,000 ghost names on the payroll. He described the scandal as a failure by the outgone leadership, which sidestepped the system to have their way. President John Mahama on Wednesday, February 12, directed an investigation into the discovery of some 81,885 suspected ghost names on the payroll of the National Service Scheme. The suspected ghost names were identified after a head count of active National Service personnel was done.
When we finish this press conference, we will be uploading graduates from the colleges of education on our list. So far, we have found out that over 20 of those colleges have an expired accreditation for the Ghana tertiary education. I'm using this channel to reach out to these colleges of education that they should use the 1 week ahead of us, including the grace of tomorrow and Friday. Of course, Friday and the week ahead of us, to go to G-Tech, make sure that their accreditation status are restored. Otherwise, we are going to give the pins to all their graduates who are leaving the school, but we will not allow them to register. We will deal with schools and colleges.
And he had there the Acting Director of the National Service Authority, Felix Gyamfi. And we do apologize for the poor quality of that sound. Now, Deputy Majority Leader and former Deputy Finance Minister Kwaku Ricketts-Hagen says President Mahama's commitment to run a lean government will deliver results in record time. He says that it is not the balloon size of a government that matters, but how to make strategic use of the best and competent human resources available. He further said he's not bothered that he has not been given any appointment yet in the NDC's administration. He spoke to me earlier on Agenda on TV3 on Tuesday night.
And when it's actually normal, because when you talk about, I mean, you ask yourself, how many people would you have to appoint to be ministers for people to be satisfied? Because Nana Akufo-Addo, as we were saying, President Akufo-Addo, did 120, and as Amin rightly said, people were still not happy. We have chosen, or His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has decided to go with 60, and you're still going to have the same problem. What we have to understand is that there are only so much you can, accommodate in, let's say, front line of the government, and that is the ministers. When we say a government goes beyond the executive. If you have, I mean, I have been around long enough.
Indeed.
You realize that as it goes on, reshuffles happen, other changes, so many things.
So you're also expecting to be given a chance? Either now or after reshuffle?
I have been there. And for me, it's just to have the capacity. As you said, I'm a majority leader in a deputy majority leader in Parliament, which is a crucial part of the government. Because at the end of the day, when you have people in the executive, and whatever the government wants to do, whether from the Ministry of Finance or any other ministry, will have to, if it's a bill, will have to come to Parliament. And you still have to have competent people in Parliament who will execute the agenda of the executive.
Let me get clear answer from you. You're saying that even if the president doesn't give you any appointment, you're okay with the deputy majority leader because it's equally important?
I am absolutely fine in any capacity I find myself in government. I am not looking for a ministerial position. I want to be part of the government, to serve the government. And I've been lucky to be placed in a position where in the legislature, where a lot of things are going to end up, I am a key player there.
And you had Kweku Rickett-Hagan. He's Deputy Majority Leader of Parliament and also former Deputy Finance Minister. He spoke to me earlier on Agenda on TV3. Agenda is every Tuesday at 9 p.m. live on TV3. And we'll be bringing you the update from business very shortly. But ahead of that, an Accra High Court has discharged former president of the Ghana Football Association, Kwesi Nyantakyi, and one other following the failure of ACE investigative journalist Anas Iremi Yao Anas and 4 others to testify. The presiding judge, Justice Simmons, discharged Mr. Nyantakyi and former Northern Regional Football Association Chairman Abdullah Al-Hassan on Thursday. That's today, February 13, as there was not enough evidence in court against them. All 5 witnesses, including Anas Iremi Yao Anas, failed to mount the witness box to testify. Just stay with us, because when we come back, we'll bring you the latest in business.
Hey, ready to make your drive home epic? It's the 3FM Drive with the one and only Giovanni Killen, right here on 3FM 92.7. Weekdays, 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. We're transforming your commute into a top-tier experience. Need a pick-me-up? Our music belt is pure energy, pure vibes. Stay ahead with the Drive Sports, bringing you the latest scores and highlights. Curious about the stars? We've got all the hottest trends, celebrity profile interviews, plus DJ faculty has got you.
Ready? Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays on 3FM Drive. You know where it's at.
This is where the action is at, live on the 3FM Drive on 3FM 92.7. Welcome to the 3FM Drive. That's right!
It's the battle of the teams in a 3FM 60-day Fit Start Challenge. Which team will come up tops? Will it be Team Comfort or Team Helen? Will age and tact triumph? Or will youth and energy win? Call or WhatsApp on these numbers: 0532 300 927 or 0532 200 927. Now, to join Team Comfort or Team Helen and enjoy holistic wellness coaching, specialized diet plans, and cooking tutorials, thrilling exercises, challenges, and activities, plus many exciting rewards. 3FM Fit Start, sponsored by Daffy's Health and Beauty, Bill's Microfinance and UGL Premier, and supported by Blue Skies and the Ghana Medical Association. 3FM Fit Start, your health, your journey, your victory.
Accra, Ghana, Africa, and worldwide. Join us on Inspirational Gospel Mix this and every Sunday, 8 p.m.
3FM. It's Romans 8:28, and it says, all things work together for the good to them that love the Lord. Kwame, that is absolutely my favorite scripture.
Yes, your Inspirational Gospel Mix, a moment to get inspired with the best of inspirational songs and interviews to get you prepared for the new week on every Sunday, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. with me, your big brother, Kwame Adu, mixing G, mixing gospel. You can't miss it. You are blessed as you listen. 3FM 92.7.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the business segment on Hot Edition. Coming up tonight, economist backs World Bank's caution on Ghana's return to capital markets as he urges prioritizing domestic revenue mobilization. My name is Menu. Afo, stay tuned. We have more stories coming up shortly. Ghana's Let's now get into the details. Economist Eric Adu has backed the World Bank's warning against Ghana's early return to the international capital market, urging government to prioritize domestic revenue mobilization. He argues that the country has not fully recovered from its debt challenges, and rushing back to borrow externally could undo gains made under the recent debt restructuring efforts.
What we did at this time is to strengthen domestic revenue mobilization. In the last 2 years or so, domestic revenue mobilization has almost doubled. In 2022, the nominal value of domestic revenue was around 75 billion. Then last year, they moved up to around 150 billion. So if the trajectory of domestic revenue mobilization continues and able to widen the tax to GDP ratio to maybe about 18%, we should be sufficient enough to use domestic revenue to be able to finance government activities rather than going back into the Eurobonds market, which is too soon and it will worsen our debt situation.
Well, that over there was economist Eric Adu. In more news tonight, the Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy, CEMSE, has called for Ghana National Petroleum Corporation to prioritize oil exploration and production. Executive Director of CEMSE, Benjamin Nsia, expressed concern over GNPC's lack of crude oil production, emphasizing the potential for increased domestic oil revenue to bolster the government's budget. Nsia stressed the importance of GNPC actively engaging in production activities to contribute to the nation's financial stability.
We think that GNPC must also begin to do a lot of exploration and also produce oil. It's been over a decade that we've invested huge sums of money into the operationalization of GNPC in realizing petroleum. However, GNPC has not been able to perform its mandate well. The time has come for us to also begin to invest most of our resources in exploring and producing oil. And the more we produce, the more we get this revenue. The more we increase our stake, the more revenue comes in. And also the more we get a better hedging policy, the more revenue comes in. If none of these are done, what we think will happen is that Ghana will continue to lose a lot of revenue from the upstream, and that also goes to affect our budget.
Benjamin Nsia is Executive Director of Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy, CEMSE. Before we go, Chief Executive of the Ghana Free Zones Authority, Dr. Mary Ewusi, has assured that the Mahama government will create a more investor-friendly environment, promoting enhanced operational efficiencies, regular stakeholder engagements, improved security and infrastructure, and a positive workplace culture. This move aims to enhance Ghana's industrialization drive. Speaking at the Tema Enclave as part of her familiarization tour, Dr. Ewusi emphasized the crucial role of the Free Zone Authority in promoting the government's 24-hour economy agenda and called for the support and collaboration of management and staff.
My vision for the authority aligns with the broader goal of positioning Ghana as a globally competitive industrial and trade hub. His Excellency, the President of Ghana, John Dramani Mohammed's vision of a 24-hour economy speaks directly to the work we do here as an authority. That is creating an environment where businesses can thrive, operate efficiently, and contribute significantly to Ghana's economic growth. In order to achieve this, we must prioritize efficiency, innovation, and collaboration. The Tema Administrative Office plays a vital role in ensuring that our free zone enterprises and tenants operate seamlessly.
Well, you heard the voice of Chief Executive of the Ghana Free Zones Authority, Dr. Mary Ewusi there. That's it for business on Hot Edition. For more stories, kindly log on to our website. It's 3news.com. My name is Minu Afo. Stay tuned. Ove Guampofo is on standby with sports news.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the sports segment here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 with me, Oreku Ampofo. We start off with the Ghana Premier League, where CEO of Accra Lions, Beatrice Adu, has hinted how clubs can possibly help curb hooliganism when the league returns. Now, the issue is that the Ghana Premier League has been suspended for more than a week since Francis Frimpong, an affectionate Asante Kotoko fan, lost his life in a Ghana Premier League game in Nswatwe. Let's hear from the CEO of Accra Lions.
I think we need to do lots of stakeholder engagements. We need to do fan education, supporter education. The venues will need to be safe, ensure that the safety of fans, the visiting teams, the home teams are all assured. We need to put in place a thorough security mechanism to ensure that people are safe. Once people are safe on the grounds and match officials coming in, they do their bits, we'll all be safe. We'll play good football, we'll just go away. And Ghana football will be the biggest.
And so that's Nanaya Obriaba, who is the CEO of Accra Lions. We'll be keeping you up to date on what the status of the Ghana Premier League is. But as things do stand, it's still suspended heading into the weekend, and it's likely that these weekend's fixtures would also be postponed. Let's head over to the continent, where the Black Star Lions have been drawn in Group A of the Under-20 Africa Cup of Nations, set to be held in Ivory Coast later this year. Ghana will face host Ivory Coast, DR Congo, Tanzania, and one team from the UNIFAC qualifiers. My colleague, Fifi Forsen, has been looking back at the draw for the Black Star Lions and assessing their chances for the tournament.
Well, this is a tournament that will test the level of Coach Desmond Ofei. We've all seen how brilliant he has been since taking charge of the team. And I hope he continues, but this is a very difficult group for him. Against DR Congo, against the host nation Ivory Coast, he's going to struggle. I expect the Ivorians and the Congolese to give Ghana a tough round in the group, but it all depends on the coach. Desmond has been elevated to assistant coach of the Black Stars. That means he's doing something really positive and something really great. And he's been scouting really well, and I hope he finds the best talent to bring on board. And only if he brings the best talent on board, Ghana can have a good shot at the tournament. Ghana can progress from the group stage.
And so that was my colleague Fifi Forsen. Let's head over to some international news and talk about Manchester City, because Betford Kovacic has reflected on the citizens' defeat to Real Madrid, stating that difficulties, especially in the lack of concentration, has been their bane this season. He says that there's been a dip in form since December, and opponents keep taking advantage of it.
away because there are still a lot of games to play.
Well, we still stay in England because match day 25 of the Premier League kicks off. That's Friday on Valentine's Day, and there's no love lost between Brighton and Chelsea, who would be renewing their rivalry that was just seen a week ago in the FA Cup, where we saw Brighton beat Chelsea by 2-1. Enzo Maresca's side would be looking for revenge, but the Italian coach is aware that his side have seen a dip in form after managing just 2 wins in their last 5 games. Now, Maresca says that he's still capable and believes that he would be able to lift Chelsea out of the slump.
No, I don't think what we have done can be cancelled or can be no good, because what we have done is there. I think, as you said, unfortunately in the domestic cup in both we are out, but our journey in Premier League has been fantastic until today. In the conference has been fantastic until today, and we're gonna try to finish in the best way we can. I said already many times, don't forget that in the last 2 years, Chelsea has never been top 4, and this year we spent almost our season in top 4. This show you and everyone that we are in the right direction. Now we're gonna try our best to finish and to bring this club where this club belongs to be, in the Champions League. We're gonna try our best, and then we see at the end.
And so that was Enzo Maresca. Just a reminder that there's playoffs for the Europa League currently ongoing, and Fenerbahce have taken the lead against Anderlecht to Dusan Tadic. And then there's also been a goal in the Midtjylland versus Real Sociedad game. The La Liga side lead by 1-0 through a penalty by Bryce Mendes. Other games between Ferencváros and Victoria Pilsen are 0-0, and then Royal Union Saint-Gilloise and Ajax is also 0-0. There's AZ Alkmaar versus Galatasaray, FC Porto versus AS Roma, and PAOK versus FCSB, and then FC Twente Bodo Glimt, all set to be played later tonight at 8 p.m. You can get updates of that on our social media handles at 3SportsGH. My name is Oreku Ampofo, and that's how we wrap up the sports segment on Hot Edition.
Accra, Ghana, Africa, and worldwide. Join us on Inspirational Gospel Mix this and every Sunday, 8 p.m. 3FM. What is your favorite scripture?
Well, my favorite scripture is Romans 8:28.
With the best of inspirational songs and interviews to get you prepared for the new week on every Sunday, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. with me, your big brother, Kwame Adu, mixing G, mixing gospel. You can't miss it. You are blessed as you listen. 3FM 92.7.
It's the battle of the teams in a 3FM 60-day Fit Start Challenge. Which team will come up tops? Will it be Team Comfort or Team Helen? Will age and tact triumph? Or will youth and energy win? Call or WhatsApp on these numbers: 0532 300 927 or 0532 200 927. Now, to join Team Comfort or Team Helen and enjoy holistic wellness coaching, specialized diet plans, and cooking tutorials, thrilling exercises, challenges, and activities, plus many exciting rewards. 3FM Fit Start is sponsored by Daffy's Health and Beauty, Bill's Microfinance and UGL Premier, and supported by Blue Skies and the Ghana Medical Association. 3FM Fit Start, your health, your journey, your victory.
Yes.
talk about pull up, but them never reach like that.
Hey, ready to make your drive home epic? It's the 3FM Drive with the one and only Giovanni Killen right here on 3FM 92.7. Weekdays, 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. We're transforming your commute into a top-tier experience. Need a pick-me-up? Our music belt is pure energy, pure vibes. Stay ahead with the Drive Sports, bringing you the latest scores and highlights. Curious about the stars? We've got all the hottest trends, celebrity profile interviews, plus DJ faculty has got you.
Ready? Mondays, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Fridays on 3FM Drive. You know where it's at.
This is where the action is at, live on the 3FM Drive on 3FM 92.7. Welcome to the 3FM Drive. That's right!
I wake up early every weekday because of you, to keep you on top of your game. Yeah!
You are at the center of our universe. That's why we make it a duty to serve you only the freshest, hottest news and entertainment. When you want it, where you want it.
Good morning, Ghana, Africa, and the rest of the wonderful world. Welcome to Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. Start your day well informed. Start with us on Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. Catch the all-new Sunrise Morning Show on 3FM 92.7 with me, Johnny Hughes, Helena Piampofo. Weekdays from 5:55 a.m. to 10 a.m. only on 3FM 92.7.
3FM, your urban lifestyle radio.
Accra, Ghana, Africa, and worldwide. Join us on Inspirational Gospel Mix this and every Sunday, 8 p.m. to 3FM. What is your favorite scripture?
Well, my favorite scripture is Romans 8:28, and it says, all things work together for the good to them that love the Lord.
2.7, some 12 minutes past the hour of 12. Thank you very much, Manuel, for bringing us the latest in business. Oreko Ampofo with sports. Let's bring you some more here on Hot Edition. And the Minister of Education, Science and Technology, Dr. Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed, has called for the demonopolization of Ghana's waste management system to allow for more players to take part in waste management. Speaking during a tour of the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission, the minister also pledged to promote STEM education, particularly for girls, and collaborate with other ministers to achieve these goals. I'm sorry, we'll have to bring you that, Mustafa, the science, the environment minister sound very quickly. you're still here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Just stay with us.
Hey, ready to make your drive home epic? It's the 3FM Drive with the one and only Giovanni Killen right here on 3FM 92.7. Weekdays, 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. We're transforming your commute into a top-tier experience. Need a pick-me-up? Our music belt is pure energy, pure vibes. Stay ahead with the Drive Sports, bringing you the latest scores and highlights. Curious about the stars? We've got all the hottest trends, celebrity profile interviews, plus DJ faculty has got you.
Ready? Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays on 3FM Drive. You know where it's at.
This is where the action is at, live on the 3FM Drive on 3FM 92.7. Welcome to the 3FM Drive. That's right!
It's the battle of the teams in a 3FM 60-day Fit Start Challenge. Which team will come up tops? Will it be Team Comfort or Team Helen? Will age and tact triumph? Or will youth and energy win? Call or WhatsApp on these numbers: 0532 300 927 or 0532 200 927. Now, to join Team Comfort or Team Helen and enjoy holistic wellness coaching, specialized diet plans, and cooking tutorials, thrilling exercises, challenges, and activities, plus many exciting rewards. 3FM Fit Start is sponsored by Daffy's Health and Beauty, Bill's Microfinance and Ugel Premier, and supported by Blue Skies and the Ghana Medical Association. 3FM Fit Start, your health, your journey, your victory.
And you're still here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. I'm sorry we could not bring you the sound of the Environment, Science and Technology Minister, Murtala Mohammed. We'll bring you that in our subsequent bulletins. For Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, my name is Beatrice Adu. Log on to 3news.com for more news. Have a good evening.